I've always been obsessed with timing to a fault because I frequently allow myself to not do the things that I want to do because the timing just doesn't feel right. And more and more, I'm beginning to accept that I don't think there is such thing as right timing. I don't think that's just not a thing. There is definitely such thing as wrong timing. For example, news. If something happens, you want to report on it right away. Like, make sure you get your facts straight first, but like as soon as possible, get this out, let people know what's happening. Because if you put out a news report of something that happened like 1200 or 1800 years ago, that's not news, that's history. Another example, in this industry, if a new video game comes out, you want to make videos about that game or let's plays of you playing that game as soon as possible, while it's fresh, while it's relevant, while people are looking for that. Because if you make it 500 years later, no one's going to care. Granted, if you make it 5 years later, it's not going to do as well as if you put it out as soon as possible. But I mean, it'll still do better than if you put it out 5,000 years from now, you know? So it's a sliding scale where as soon as possible is best, but you also want to make sure you get everything right and do it well. Because you don't want to just crank out garbage like I've been doing. So clearly I'm not breaking my habit of wanting everything I do to sync up with something time-wise because I'm posting this on a full moon. Why? What's the significance? I don't know. It just feels nice. Because the full moon is like a real, tangible, experienceable, measurable thing out in the real world. It actually exists. As do the day and the year and the seasons. You know what doesn't exist? Months, weeks. We made them up. It's nonsense. So I tried to make my own calendar. You can't see it. This is just not the right camera for this. But regardless, this calendar was a failure. What I wanted to do was scrap the month and the week. Replace the month with the seasons. So there would be like 4 months a year. And the beginning of each would be marked by the equinoxes and solstices. Because those are real, measurable things that actually exist out there. The equinoxes are when the day and night are of equal length. The winter solstice is the longest night of the year and shortest day of the year. And the summer solstice is the longest day of the year and shortest night of the year. Opposites of each other. So I tried to make it would be very long months. 4 months a year, based on the seasons. And then throw away the weeks and go based off of the moon cycles. And what I discovered is that the moon cycles do not sync up nicely with any of this. You end up with weeks that are longer than others, and of course weeks that are shorter than others, like varying lengths, because the moon cycle is not consistent. It's not always like every 20 days or whatever. I'm just throwing out random numbers. It changes a day or two. It fluctuates a little bit. And but it generally comes out to approximately 31 days. So that's how we get our months. And the 4 chunks of the moon cycle, from new moon to first quarter to full moon to last quarter back to new moon, end up approximately 8 days-ish, 7, 9, whatever. And that's where we get our 7-day week. So now I just feel silly for trying to replace the Gregorian calendar with my own attempt at a luna-solar calendar, because like we've been using the Gregorian calendar for a very long time. How dare I have the audacity to think that I could come up with something better with minimal effort? Yeah. So, but that's the thing that I don't remember the point I was trying to get back to. This video is a mess. This is like, I think I already said this in the video. This is like my 40th attempt at trying to film this. The one attempt that was going really well, the microphone quit and I'm furious, and I'm just trying to get this video out tonight because I feel like the timing of it matters. And this is the distinction that I make, where in this situation it's okay for me to be obsessed with the timing, because this is forcing me to get the video out now. It's the complete opposite of the problem. The problem is when I stop myself from making content because the timing doesn't feel right. This is the opposite. This is myself forcing myself to make content that I was not ready for. I did not do enough prep work. I could have had this all scripted out instead of having to just ramble to a camera. I could have been way more prepared, but I'm making it now because the timing feels right. So this is the opposite of the problem. This is the other side of the coin. And, I mean, you can't have a one-sided coin. So I guess for now, at least, I continue to put up with my problem in exchange for nights like this, where I do what I want to do. Because time doesn't really exist. Not in some sort of like Eastern philosophical way, but like literally and tangibly, time is not a thing out in the real world. It is an illusion of the mind. It is nothing more than the positions and rates of motion of objects relative to each other. Generally, astrological objects, the sun, the moon, the earth, primarily the sun and the earth. That's where we get our days and our months and our equinoxes and solstices. And then, of course, the earth relative to the moon gets us our moon phases. So, like, the year would be a different length of time on Earth versus Mars, because Mars is moving at a different rate of speed. It's at a different distance from the sun. The day would be a different length because the rate of rotation of Mars is different than the rate of rotation of Earth. Earth. That's like literally all that time is. I find it ridiculous when people try to say that time is the fourth dimension. That's not at all what like higher dimensions are all about. Time does not exist. There is only ever now. If you imagine the universe as like empty, completely empty, there's nothing in it but like one particle. Does time exist? How do you know? How do you test and prove if it exists? The only way time can be perceived is if there are two particles and they're both moving at different rates. Because if they're both moving the same direction in the same position at the same rate, that's equivalent to if they're not moving at all. They have to be moving differently in different directions, different rates, different positions, rotations. Yeah, that's what I meant when I was saying positions. I really meant to say rotations this whole time. That's the only way time can be perceived and measured. But even, and I don't quote me on this because I don't remember exactly. I did have a physics class a long time ago, but I don't remember most of it. But I think, if I remember correctly, isn't that like literally how you measure time? Is hello watch. Speaking of time, I really should start wrapping this up. The video isn't quite what I wanted it to be, but it be. It is better to be than not to be, I guess. That's debatable. Anyways. Yeah, I really wanted my return to YouTube to be like this big deal where I'm gonna plan it out on paper and make it a great video and do all this B-roll and scripting, and I just didn't get things done in the way I wanted to before the timing felt right. And so, speaking of timing, I think I want to see, now I'm hesitating because it's like, why am I putting this in the video? Why, like, I'm just gonna end the video there. Thanks for watching. Subscribe for more. Have a great night, or whatever time it is by you.